to my channel. So today we're going to be looking at how we can actually create a static website on Amazon S3 by using the management console. So previously we actually created this using the command line interface, and today we're going to use the AWS management console to host a static website on S3. So the first thing we want to do, right, is to log into AWS management console and search for S3. So this is my AWS management console, right? And I'm going to come here and I'm going to search for S3. So I'll come scroll up here, and in the search bar I'll say S3, and I'll navigate to that service. Let me drag this here. So the next thing we want to do, right, is that we're going to click on create a bucket. So I'll come here and I'll come to general purpose bucket right here, which I already have. And you can see I already have a bucket I created in this region, right? So I want to create another bucket for this our static website hosting. So I'll come here and click on create bucket. Now the next thing I'm going to do is that under the bucket name, I'm going to give my bucket the name static website hosting, my account ID bucket. So you know when you create a bucket, it needs to be globally unique, right? In the sense that no other account should have the same bucket name. So I'll come here, I'll just be lazy, I'll copy this name, right? With Control C, I'll come here and I'll come down here and I'll paste it here, right? So what it means is that okay, I want my buckets to be unique globally. So that is what AWS allows for, right? If you want to use the exact name, just make sure you change this, right? So if you come here, this identity number is the account ID that of my account. So the next thing we want to do, right, is that for bucket type, we're going to leave it at general purpose because we want this bucket to be stored across multiple availability zones, right? If you want this bucket to be stored in just one AZ, then you have to choose directory, right? So the next thing we want to do, right, is that we want to actually use ACLs enabled. So when we use ACL enabled, it means that we don't want to write bucket policies. Okay, we don't want to write bucket policies, right, for access to this bucket. So that's why I'm using ACL enabled. But if I want to write bucket policies, right, then I have to actually leave it as ACL disabled. But because of the purpose of this, right, we want everyone to access this bucket. So I don't actually write policies to specify that. I'll use ACLs enabled. And the next thing I want to do, right, is I'm going to leave bucket ownership like so here. I'll come down here and here I want to actually uncheck this box, right? So the reason why I'm unchecking this box is because I want every object, right, in this bucket to be able to be accessed by anywhere, right? Anyone, because we're actually hosting our website. So I'll uncheck this box here, right? Then I'll come down here and acknowledge that. Okay, I'll come to acknowledge that. Now naturally, if you're storing something like something private, right, like your company videos, media, backup files, then you want to check this box because you want it to be private, right? But because of the purpose, the specific purpose of this, right, I want to host a website. That is why I'm unchecking this box. So you should know the business requirements before you actually do your configurations. So I'll scroll down here and under bucket versioning, in reality you want to actually enable it, right? Because you want to see different versions of the objects in your bucket, right? But for this purpose, I'm going to leave it at disable here because we are actually trying to learn. Then I'll scroll down here, then under the default encryption, right, we want to actually know how we can actually protect this bucket, right, the objects in this bucket at rest. So we can do that in three ways, right? We can do that using the server-side encryption with Amazon S3 managed keys. So what we're saying here is that okay, we want Amazon Web Services to be able to actually secure the objects in this bucket, right, from their own end. So we want S3 to secure this bucket, the objects in this bucket from their own end. That is the SSE S3, right, server-side encryption with S3. Or if you have something in KMS, right, maybe you have a key in KMS, then you can actually select this, right? Then you go to KMS and take the ARN of that key and actually use it to secure your bucket, right? Or you can use a dual layer server side encryption with KMS also, which is DSSE KMS, right? But for this, right, I'm going to use the server side encryption with Amazon S3 managed keys. Now, in reality, right, you want to use KMS, right? Because when you use KMS, you can actually audit it, right? You can see how you can actually protect your the objects in this bucket, and you actually own the encryption, right? You manage everything, every object, right? You secure every object at rest in this bucket. But for learning purpose, right, for this learning purpose, I'm going to actually use server side encryption because we're actually them because it's actually free, right? But when you use KMS, you're actually going to pay for that, right? But because of this learning purpose, I'm going to use server side encryption with Amazon S3 managed keys because it's actually free. Now for bucket key, I'm just going to leave it as disable here, right? Because I'm not actually using KMS, right? Which is SSE KMS or DSSE KMS. So I'll just leave it at disable here. Then I'll come down to advanced settings and we're going to leave object lock as disabled, right? So object lock means that okay, we don't want our teammates, our colleagues to actually change what we actually have the object we actually have in this bucket, right, over a specific period of time. So I'll just leave it like so here and come to create bucket. And you can see my bucket has been created. So the next thing you want to do, right, is to enable static website hosting, right? And when we enable static website hosting, right, is in the properties tab, right? So we're going to go to the properties tab. You can see we have actually we have actually done all this, right? So we want to go to the properties tab and we want to actually enable static website hosting. So this documentation, you can actually use the documentation. It's going to be left in the link, right, for you to actually download it and actually walk through and see how easy it is for you to actually do yours. So I'll come here, right, and I'll come to properties here and I'll scroll down. I'll scroll down and you can see website static website hosting, right? So which is in the properties tab, right? So after you create your bucket and you click on the name link, you can see you come to this properties tab here, right? Then you come down, you scroll down, right, close to the end, right, of this, and this is static website hosting. So you click on edit here, right? Then when you come here, you click on enable because we want to actually enable this, right? We want to use static website hosting for our S3 bucket, right? Then you come down here and leave that as hosted static website. Then under the index of sheet, the index document, what we want to do is to specify the name of our HTML file, right? Or how it's actually spelled. So I'll come here and I'll just use index .html because that is the name of my HTML file, right? Then under error documents, we're just going to leave it like so here, and I'll come down here and I'll click on save changes, and we have enabled this static website hosting, right? So the next thing I want to do, right, is to scroll up and I'll come to objects here, and what we want to do next is to make sure that I actually upload my object, right? So I'll come here and I'll click on upload. Then I will look for where I have my object, right? So I'll come to add folder. Then I'll come to my computer here and actually try to source for where I have those objects. I'll scroll down here. I'll come here and I'll open this my website here and I'll click on upload. I'll click on upload again and it will upload every object, right, I want to actually use, right? So upload every object I actually want to use for this, right? So let's just wait for it and let me come here and let me click upload here. And you can see it's uploading everything. So you can actually upload first before you enable static website hosting, or enable static website hosting before you actually upload. So you can see I've uploaded my objects and you can see they are all succeeded, right? So I can come here and click on close. So you can see I have a folder here, right? And if you click on this folder, you can see I have my objects in this folder. So the next thing we want to do is to make sure that this is public, right? So you come to actions here, right? So you can, what you do is that you click on this name here to select every item that is going to be requested for your website to function, right? So you click on it to select everything. You come to actions here, then you scroll down and click on make public using ACLs, right? Because remember that we enabled ACLs because we don't want to write bucket policies. So you come here, click on make public using ACLs, right? Then when you come here, we scroll down here and click on make public. And you can see that successfully edited public access, right? So we are good to go. So I'll come here, I'll click on close. Then the next thing I want to do is to see if my buckets, if my website is actually live. So I'll come down here, I'll click on this index.html because this is what hosts my the dependencies, the logic of my website, right? If I click it, I'll come to here to copy URL, right? Not URI, but URL. I'll click on this link, I'll come to another folder, I'll Ctrl V it, and I'll click on enter, and you can see my static website is live, and it's saying hello hardworking Nigerian youth, and it was designed by AWS cloud engineer Chinedu Onyema Oremus, which is myself. So if you like this content, please subscribe, and we're going to see in the next one. Bye for now.